All I think about these days, all I think about these days is getting at that goal that's in my heart. I need a reason to believe, yeah, maybe a cure for my disease.
That song is by Blaine Long. My name is Matthew Blades. Meet my friends.
Hi, it's Tim.
And Beth from the Mulhausen Group Real Estate.
We are so proud to sponsor another episode of Learn from People Who Lived It. You can catch us at tmgphoenix.com.
That's a good group of people right there. Hi, it's Matthew Blades, host of Learn from People Who Lived It. And a reminder before we get into today's show that each of these episodes is presented uninterrupted with the support of the Mulhausen Group, with the support of ASI or Advanced Systems Integrations. They design and install cutting-edge audio and visual equipment. So if you're on the IT staff or you're the IT director, please reach out to ASI. This audio visual integrator has offices in Minnesota and in Scottsdale and 2 decades of experience. And the cool thing about them, they pay real close attention to that last 5%, which is the one that drives you and I crazy. We've got a link to ASI in our show description, or you can go there yourself by visiting asi-av.com.
Welcome to another episode of Learn from People Who Lived It.
A couple of weeks ago, I was speaking to a group at a Banner Foundation, and afterwards, one of the doctors came up to me. We had a great conversation and started to really drill down on the mind-body connection. And then you said a word. What was the word you used?
Takotsubo.
This is it. You're somebody who's been published many times. You've spoken nationally, internationally to different audiences. You worked at the Mayo Clinic for 12 years, at Banner for several. And I know that you have already forgotten more than I could ever learn in this space. But it's going to be great to have a conversation with you today about the ticker. There was a part of my speech that night where I talked about the mind-body connection to pain. I know that's what got us excited to talk today because of the Takotsubo.
Takotsubo.
And what that is when somebody dies of a broken heart.
Exactly. And
that's a real thing.
Yes.
That's a real thing. But maybe 50 years ago, we would have said, I don't know about that.
Yeah, even sooner than that, actually. Like, when this was first discovered, the reason it has a name Takotsubo is because it was first described in Japan. And the Takotsubo means octopus pot. And that's because the left ventricle, or the main pumping chamber of the heart, in the acute setting often looks like that octopus pot. And so that's where it was discovered in 1990. But when I was at Mayo Clinic, we had several cases in the early 2000s when I was a fellow at the time that we didn't understand what they were. Like it had this, it seemed like a heart attack. It looked like a heart attack, but when we looked at the arteries, they were all clean and we didn't understand what was going on. But over time, we started putting that together that, oh, here's that same situation that they were describing in Japan. And I have to tell you that I don't know if it's because it's increasing or because now we know what we're seeing, but it's something that occurs on a regular basis in large medical centers.
And it's one of those things that, do you see it coming? Is it one of those things where, a relative dies or a close one dies and you can just see it start to happen?
There's too much variation about this. Like it's so challenging. We are increasing our knowledge base about this, but why it attacks certain people in certain times is still a mystery to us because, even though stress is most common driver of this, the instigator of Takotsubo syndrome, stress is everywhere all the time. These people, this is not the only stressful event they've ever had in their life. Why that particular situation leads to a heart attack and potentially a life-threatening situation is still unknown.
Yeah. Well, and you're never probably going to get rid of it, but it's great to become more understanding about where it is. From the day you started talking about hearts, all those years ago when you got into medical school to where you are now, are you excited about the advances in more of a holistic approach to wanting to heal somebody?
There's so much opportunity. I think that's one of the things that I'm really passionate about is that while heart disease, we're all affected by this. It's still the number one cause of death. It's still the number one cause of disability. Heart disease rates are increasing, actually, even with all the amazing medical advances. what I think is under-recognized and what my passion is helping people understand they have so much power to avoid that. This is not an inevitable thing for us.
Yeah. Well, and there's a whole thing that we can talk about there regarding why people won't take the steps to take care of themselves, set of belief systems they have about themselves, of values, there's all of those things that make it so somebody won't do those things. But you're right. There's so much good information out there. And if you want to take the bull by the horns, there's never really been a better time to do it, because even big hospital systems are leaning a little bit more holistically and starting to understand that, okay, we can only do so much with the pill and with the science and with the research. Eventually, we're going to need to talk about things like environmental factors. What are they eating? How much sleep are they getting? And I know these are parts of the puzzle that you're really passionate about. I wanted to do this podcast for a couple of different reasons with you. And two of the glaring reasons were my mom and my dad. Both of them have heart issues. My father passed away at 23 years old, and I brought his death certificate with me today.
Wow.
And I've never really talked to anybody about this before. So he died in 1996, and this is going to be the first conversation that I've ever had about the medical reason my father passed away. Mm-hmm. So on his death certificate, it says anoxic encephalopathy.
Encephalopathy.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Even I had to struggle.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Cardiac arrhythmia and cardiomyopathy. Is that, am I saying those right?
Cardiomyopathy.
So cardiomyopathy. What does that mean?
Yeah. So the first sign that somebody knows they have heart disease is about 25% of the time sudden death. And so the medical term for that is sudden cardiac death. The most common mechanism of that is a plaque rupture, meaning there's a little narrowing in the artery to the heart. It's not blocking blood flow, but it ruptures. It forms a blood clot on that completely blocks blood flow to the heart muscle. And what happens next is the heart rhythm goes into a rhythm that is not able to pump blood, is not able to sustain life. And so about 25%, maybe a little bit more than that, that's the first sign somebody has that they have heart disease, is they die from sudden cardiac death. And
is there anything that is their body telling them anything along the way? Are they getting lightheaded? Are they starting to get flutters? Are they any experience like that?
Yeah, it's usually not. So part of the definition of sudden cardiac death is the symptoms lasted less than an hour before the event.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And as I said to the group there, one of the things that I had to struggle with in life was I was there when it happened, and I tried to save his life and I couldn't.
Right.
And neither could the nurse that came after, neither could the paramedics that came after, neither could the doctors that when we got him to the hospital. And inevitably what had happened to him, it sounds like he was one of that 25%.
Right.
The first sign was the last sign.
Yep.
Okay, but the bigger number is 75%. That's people like my mom who had an event but got a pacemaker, got a bunch of work done, and thanks to modern medicine, she's doing great now. She's feeling better. 75% of us have a chance here. We have a real good chance of keeping things really healthy, don't we?
One of the things that I loved about cardiology, when I was going through medical school and residency, trying to decide what kind of doctor I wanted to be, I always had an affinity for the heart. Like the heart is not just a muscle, right? Like there's there's poems about the heart.
We throw it around in sport.
We talk about it as he has great heart, or she has a real heart for this. Like there's emotion, there's almost our life center is, we describe that in our heart. So that was part of the reason. But what I really loved about, and love about being a cardiologist is we have really effective ways to help people that have become sick. But again, over time, what I've realized is, well, those are amazing. And thank God we have those. Like, thank goodness we have amazing doctors and hospitals. And if you're having a heart attack, like we save a lot of lives in doing that. And a collective we, but what's even more exciting, what's even more of an opportunity is prevent people from getting there in the first place.
Yeah. What really struck me was you said it's still the leading cause of death.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Like this is something that we know, fairly simple things can prevent 80% or more of heart disease. Like you think about this. like the things that we have 800,000 heart attacks a year in the United States. Over 300,000 people die suddenly from sudden cardiac death, and up to 80% of that is completely preventable and fairly simple thing. So, I've kind of created my own list, but the American Heart Association, the research on this is from Life Simple 7. So, we talk about the good blood pressure control, good cholesterol, healthy cholesterol levels, healthy blood sugar levels, healthy weight, and then the other three things: nutrition, physical activity, and not smoking. So those factors are the ones that where the research has said this prevents 80% of heart attacks and about 50% of strokes. As a clinician, as somebody who's taken care of patients for over 25 years, I've grown to be impressed with the impact sleep, stress, and connection. And when I talk about connection, social connection, that's an easier one. Like in the research shows that can be as impactful on your health as smoking or obesity. But I think there's more to that, like a connection to your community, a connection to purpose, a connection to contribution.
Sure.
Those are the things that really help. You focus on those 10 things, then the outcome of that is going to be a long and vital life, which, I haven't been few people I've met who didn't say that's a high priority for them.
Yeah, I wonder if you could speak medically to what happens when we're stressed out, because I want to draw the parallel. There's a lot of research that's coming out now that's drawing a straight line between the mind-body connection to pain and disease. And so I wondered, if you could speak to, okay, I'm in a high stress situation. I don't know what it is. I'm a parent, and my kid's just done something, and I'm emotional, right? And so there's a lot of anxiety, there's stress, there's anger, there's all the things happening there. What's happening to my heart in that moment?
Yeah, so this is a real challenge, and one of the things that it's hard to do research around stress and put numbers to it like we can with cholesterol or blood pressure, because it's not easy to measure, right? Like, what's stressful to me might not be stressful to you.
Sure.
How do we, and then our response to that as well, and then what happens after that? Like, are we, is this, some people have the personality where they can let go of their stress. It's a big emotional event, but afterwards they're fine. They're all good. Whereas there's the others of us who, maybe we're experiencing it from that person who's able to get rid of their stress in the moment. We're carrying that with us over time. But, I have increasingly been just so impressed with the impact of stress on people's lives. Like, as a doctor, stress is important just intuitively, even though we don't have amazing research about that, like in a placebo randomized controlled trial, like the best science studies. But we know intuitively when people come to see me, particularly as a cardiologist, like I see people all the time where one of the most common comments I get is, well, could it be stress? Could my symptoms be stress related? Or they're having panic attacks and they're seeing me as a cardiologist because what are the symptoms of a panic attack? It's chest tightness, it's shortness of breath, it's heart racing. So they're thinking, oh, well, this should be my heart. And they come to see me and I'm like, actually your heart's just responding to the environment that it's in right now. I think what is newer in stress is less that it's impactful on health. That's unequivocal in anybody's mind that I think is a clinician and knows
functioning adult.
Patients.
I'm going to say, right? Yeah.
But I think where things have evolved in a negative way for us is the chronic levels of stress. I think that the way society is set up now, the way news media transmits information to us, the divisiveness, the angst out there, the social media, all of those things are leading to chronic levels of stress that are incredibly impactful on our health.
Well, it makes it hard to get away, and I love that you talk about this because it's one of the things that I enjoy talking about right now too. It's like all of that stuff is okay in doses, but we have to unplug from it. We have to get away from it. And one of the things that I've come to learn about social media is the same folks who design that are the same people who design casino games. It's the same technology. It's that pull down. It's meant to keep you there. there. It's the noises. It's the constant changing of the screens. But it's about being aware of the fact that I need to take a step back. I have like my own principles in life, and one of them is turn the news off.
Yep.
Turn the news off now. But I approach it from a completely different standpoint. As a media professional for 27 years, I know what the goals of media are. And I promise you, the only thing they care about is getting you back the next night.
Yeah.
So they will tell you whatever you need to hear to make you feel like you need to be with them again the next day. And it's really easy to get sucked in that cycle, man. And
Absolutely.
And that really is so debilitating. And that's what I meant when I kind of said, what's happening to the heart when we get angry and stressed and agitated? It would seem to me like the heart's having to work harder.
Oh, absolutely. You know, that's the hormonal milieu, right? We have the adrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine, cortisol levels all go up. The heart is responding in a way that is based on our, ancient biology, right? When a stressful event comes, like the classic, the saber-toothed tiger is chasing you, like your heart needs to be getting blood to your muscles, and you need to be efficiently able to move fast. The difference in modern society is we're getting that stimulus, that stressful stimulus, but we're not running. That's not going anywhere. It's all being cooped up in our bodies, and it ends up affecting our health.
A great place to hit the pause button. And when we reconnect with you for part 2, we're going to talk about steps to heart longevity, plus overcoming that fear, that what if factor. Maybe you're a little spooked to go to the doctor. But ultimately, we discuss why knowing the numbers matters. See you for part 2 when you're ready.
We have 3 goals with Learn from People who lived it. 1. To help you feel less alone. 2. Encourage you to seek out a coach, a therapist, a church, anyone who can help you get through your journey and find some healing. 3. When you're ready, share your story with us.
Hi, it's Tim.
And Beth from the Mulhausen Group Real Estate.
Thank you for listening to Learn from People who lived it.
You can find them online at tmgphoenix.com.